as a client director, and she worked in a leadership role last 17 years and in Fortune 100 technology companies from IBM and Amazon. So I'm happy to have Sarah in our talk show. And Sarah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'm a career-long seller. So that's pretty much all I've done.
Okay.
And I'm passionate about what I do. I enjoy what I do. And I think it's a really amazing career that doesn't get talked about a lot. And when it does get talked about, it's sometimes negative. But I've had a great career for some amazing technology companies, and yeah, just happy to share my thoughts and my experiences with everybody today.
Okay. So what made you to come into sales? It's not easy, right? Women coming into sales.
Well, so when I graduated as a young woman, I graduated with a degree in criminology and psychology. And I had no idea that my career would be what it is now. And I had no idea also that sales was a career. So I find that when I speak to other people, they get into sales by accident, or they get hired by a firm in an entry-level sales role, maybe not knowing where they want to go. And then it turns out that they're good at sales,
Yeah.
and it turns into a longer career path. And that's really what happened to me. I didn't know anything about the function of sales in a corporation. I had no idea. It was not an aspiration for me. After I graduated, my direction from my family was get a job.
Okay.
and that's it. It wasn't anything more or less than that. The advice was get into the job market as soon as possible, and it doesn't matter necessarily what you're doing, so long as that you can contribute to the household. And that's what I did. I got my entry-level position at IBM. I started in a customer service role and an inbound call center, where we were taking calls from people who recently purchased computers. And I didn't know anything about technology either.
Okay.
So I don't have a technology background. I never thought of myself as being any type of technologist or anything like that. I just, like I said, I got this job. It was a reputable company. And then I slowly started to learn the organization. And I remember one of my teammates moved into another division, and it was a sales division. And he came up to me one day and he said, "Hey, Sarah, there's this new opening in sales. Why don't you come over to my team?" And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I had probably been at IBM for about a year at this time. And I went to my manager and I said, "Hey, there's this job opening in sales." And he said, "You don't want to go into sales."
Okay.
And I said, "Why?" And he said, "It's really hard, and it's sink or swim, and you're not going to like it." And when I heard that, my defiance came out, and I was like, "No, I want to do this." and I did. And I will tell you, that same manager, I am more successful and made it further
Wow.
in my career than him. And what I realized is that sales has a bad reputation for being hard and competitive and stressful, and you're not going to make it, and all of these negative connotations that people project onto you, onto people, and they're not true. And that's a long-winded answer, Thilaga, as to how I got into sales. But I got in by accident, and I never left.
Great. Sometimes I observed for a woman, if somebody say it is, you can't do it, we somehow want to prove it,
Yeah,
right? By doing it.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. But is there any specific challenge you face being a woman in sales?
Well, I've always been in technology, and technology sales, you're dealing with people who are really deep in technology skills, and the majority of them are men.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a challenge. I would say that I was very aware of being the only woman in the room.
Mm.
Oftentimes. I would say 90% of the time, especially earlier on in my career, where I was focused on what I was selling was data center hardware and servers. So really expensive computers, mainframe, Unix operating systems, hundreds of thousands and often $1 million transactions. So it was not lost on me that when I walked into a room, people were like, what is she doing here? Who is she? And does she even know what she's talking about? And I think I had to build my own credibility in this space to be taken seriously by the people who were deep in technology and had that deep knowledge, and who automatically counted me out as to not being able to handle a technology-based conversation. And now I know enough to be dangerous, and I can speak to C-level, and I can speak to architects. So it's allowed me, and also I took it on myself as to learn and to understand my product set. And Thilaga, same with you, right? Like, you have a deep, very precise knowledge of this, niche product set.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you also had to learn it to get that credibility. And so you can overcome any challenge by just taking a little bit more time to learn. So I had to do that. And I think a lot of people, not just women, if you're not from that technology background, or not from that whatever product set or service set background, you just have to put in a little bit more effort to ensure you're successful.
Yeah, I am basically having the industrial automation, aerospace defense market where I work. I feel somehow if you're committed to do anything, things will fall in place. You are tend to learn, you tend to finish the task, right? So if you're committed, things will happen.
Yeah, commitment is a really good word, and it's putting in that extra time and knowing that you need to learn. Some people think they know everything.
They can't learn.
Yeah, some people just they can't. They're like, I don't need to know, or, oh, it's not that serious, or, it takes too much effort. But if you're committed to making it happen, you'll ensure that you will, and you'll be more successful as a result of it.
Yeah. There is a saying, right? Known is a drop, unknown is the ocean. So if you accept that, then you can learn everything.
Absolutely.
Known is just a drop, unknown is an ocean. There are so many things to learn. The more you go deeper, the more you know there are so much to learn.
Oh, it's so true. And I always say I'm a lifelong learner. So I'll spend my entire life always wanting to learn more, do more, and, never be satisfied with what I have. Some people think that it's a bit too much, but that's just who I am. And I think there is a personality trait that, for sales or any career, that you can tell the people that are motivated and that are really committed and serious, and they're the ones that really rise to the top.
Very true. Mm-hmm. And tell about your daily habits, which we can follow.
So I will say I am not the best when it comes to structure and scheduling. I am organized, but I don't follow a disciplined schedule. I need more work in the discipline area. I can sometimes be a bit scattered in that I always want to do different things all the time. So I'm not the most organized, but as sales, and the reason why I think that it works for me is because in sales and in what I do, I have to be ready to change and go at whatever request comes through. Like, for example, right now, it's the end of quarter for us at my company, and as well as my customer's company. And I'm in the middle of or at the end of a procurement cycle. And because of that, I need to be agile. I need to be ready at the drop of a dime to change direction and to respond to my customer and to jump on a call or overcome whatever objection. So being super disciplined to a schedule doesn't work for me, because that's going to get thrown out of the window when my vice president calls me and he's like, Sarah, we need you to do X, Y, Z for this. Or when the customer, like I got an email from the customer this morning saying, I need this and I need it right now. And I'm like, okay, drop everything and do it. So I think for me in sales, the most important thing is to understand what you have going on, what goals you're tracking to. And if you use that as the guiding light, your day, your activities throughout the day and week and month, that will follow, because you'll know, okay, I need to close X amount of dollars by this time, or I have whatever renewal that I'm tracking to, or whatever transaction that I'm working on. I need that to close by June 30th. Okay, now what do I need to do to get there? And then it's working backwards from that. And then allowing yourself that flexibility to adapt to what's going on in your world. Like another example would be this week, I've been working on an opportunity with a gentleman, and he ended up leaving the company yesterday. Okay. And so all of the work that I had been doing has completely been, it's gone now because he's gone. So what does that now mean? Well, I have to pivot, and I have to find out new ways that I can get this back on track and still ensure that I'm pushing forward. So you need those type of skills to be flexible, to be agile, in addition to obviously being organized and disciplined as it relates to scheduling. But key piece of information, understand where you're going and then work backwards from there.
Okay. So set the goal and reverse work.
That's right.
And you are also advanced communicator. So how we can be a great...
So I've labeled myself as an advanced communicator because I've spent the last 17 years working and communicating with so many different people. And my husband is actually a hypnotist. He's also from India, actually.
Wow, great.
And so he chose a career path that is not typical as a hypnotist. And what a hypnotist, what he does is also advanced communication. And so when we got together, we started to see that what he does when working with people and what I do when I work with clients, it's really about the fundamentals of human communication and how we speak to each other, how we listen to each other, how do we build rapport, and how do we collaborate. And it's the best piece of advice I think I can share is that listening is really, really key. And there's this idea of active listening, where you're literally in the moment when you're speaking with somebody to really try to understand exactly what they're going through. And yes, it's empathy, but it's also the words that they say and what does that mean. And so that listening aspect has really propelled my career, because I am naturally and innately interested in learning from other people and understanding what they want, what they're going through, and understanding what they are trying to say to me. And if I can really interpret that in the way that they intended, then I can really help them. The worst thing is that you listen to somebody and you interpret incorrectly their intention or what they want. And so you put your own interpretation on there, and then you end up solving the wrong problem or trying to solve the problem that's not stated. And that takes a bit of practice. There's a lot of things that come into that. There's reading between the lines. You have to understand the person that you're speaking with, what they're not saying, as well as what they're saying. So that's why the context needs to be taken into account, who the person is, what is the situation, and then listening exactly to what they're trying to say. And if you are trying to confirm, it's really best to parrot back or say exactly back what you heard to make sure that you understand. And the best way to do that is to use their words exactly.
Mirroring, right?
Mirroring, exactly. You got it. It's a sales technique. They've labeled it as a sales technique, but that's a way to, okay, do I really understand what they want and what they need and what they're going through? Just state it back exactly as they stated it. And that way there won't be any confusion. Sometimes for me, I get them to write it in an email.
Okay.
Because their words it's their words, not my words. And so I can use their words to help me solve their problem. So listening once you listen, and once you truly, truly listen to that person, you're on your way to being a better communicator than most people. And I'll also say that listening and active listening brings you into the present. So you're in the moment. You're not thinking about your phone. You're not distracted. You're not in your own mind thinking about something else. You're truly listening to what that person is saying, bringing you into the present time. And you're truly focused and concentrating on what that person is trying to say. And again, if you just do that, you will be on your way.
What is the difference between passive and active listening?
So I'm
active, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? I don't know the answer to your question. I can probably interpret or try to guess an answer just based on the definition of the words. But I would say in my world, it's allowing yourself to listen fully, be in the present, and then what you're doing right now is you're actively listening to me. And I can tell that you're doing that because you are nodding. Your body language suggests that you're listening to me. You took one word, which is active listening, and you asked a follow-up question. So you're already thinking about, oh, she's saying active listening. Okay, so what's the opposite of that? That's passive. How is that different? So you've been able to pick up exactly what active listening is. And, you're a great interviewer. You're a great listener, clearly a great salesperson.
Yeah, thank you.
And
very true example, realistic example you have given. Even the eye-to-eye contact is very important.
Yes. yes, show the other person that you are interested in what they have to say. And it's, some people find that hard. They find that difficult to do. They're not good at it yet, but it's a skill that can be developed, and it's a learned skill, and anybody can do it. My mom always said, and I think a few people you may have heard this as well, act like the person that you're talking to is the most interesting person in the world.
Wow.
And then you'll find out that they are. And
Wow.
if you start to really engage in a true conversation, you will learn that everybody is very interesting, and you can learn a lot from them.
So that's the key, right? To attract others.
Yes. Do you know how many people have conversations with others and they're distracted and on their phone?
Yeah,
Some people aren't listened to. Like even at home with your wife or husband or partner, sometimes they're not listening to you.
You feel irritated, right? When you're talking and they are just looking at the mobiles.
Yeah, because you can tell. You know when someone's not listening to you. And that, as a human being, when you're not listened to, it doesn't feel good.
Exactly.
So you can go a long way into making somebody else's day when you actually listen to them, because you don't know if they've ever been listened to. And then you've made them feel really special. It's such a strange thing, but it makes other people feel good when they feel listened to.
When you face some challenges, like you're unable to meet the target, meet the set goal, okay, and you're unable to close the sale, which you expected for a long time to close. How you face it? How you overcome it?
It's happened to me many, many times.
Everybody, it happens. Yeah.
It's part of it. You're not going to win every single deal. And I think there was a point in my career when I thought the people that were more experienced or older than me, men, never lost. I always felt like they never lost. And I had this incorrect pressure that I put on myself to always win. And then so I think earlier in my career when I lost, I would take it personally. So, but I've learned since then that losing is part of the game. Just like an athlete playing a sport, you win, you lose, nobody's perfect. There's no perfect season. You may have one perfect season one season, and then the next season you don't, right? So losing is part of it, and losing makes you better. So my advice is, or what I've tried to do is that every time I don't win, I try to understand what happened, and then using how questions and not why questions to help me get through it. So for example, I wouldn't say, why didn't they buy from me? I would say something to myself like, how could I have done things differently to make my proposal better, for example? So that gives different answers to your unconscious mind, and also just in reality, you're going to get different types of answers. So if I say, why did I lose? Well, maybe I screwed up that presentation, or maybe my pricing was wrong, or maybe I should have replied to that email faster. I don't know, pick something. But if I ask how could I make it better? How could I have improved? Well, my answer could be, next time I will ensure I say this in my presentation. Or next time I will make sure that I will include a financing option in my proposal. So now I'm giving answers to solve that challenge. And I may not be, it still may not have been the one reason as to why I lost, but it helps me improve. So that's really important. I think how questions versus why questions. And then when in doubt, when you've had a bad loss, take some time for yourself, take some time to relax and to just, let it go. It's definitely tough. Sometimes I think we also feel, or some people also feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't get that deal, I'm going to get fired, or something like really catastrophic is going to happen, and it doesn't. And it doesn't happen because it's part of it. And if you have internally to your company, if you have communicated throughout and included your management and executives into the sales process, what can you do? Sometimes a competitor is in there sooner. Sometimes the customer already made up their mind and they were just stringing you along. Like there's a lot of reasons why, but it's tough. Try not to take it so personally. It's definitely not you. It's part of the game, the sales game, and analyze what went wrong, but ask those how questions and not the why questions.
I've seen many sales guys, what they do, they just be frustrated about losing the customer prospect. But this is a very good suggestion that they have to think, analyze why they have lost, how can be better next time when they offer. I think sitting and analyzing once they lose the sale, that is very important, I feel. Not just being frustrated, being angry or stressed. Yeah.
Yeah, because what does that do? Like, what does that anger and that frustration, what's productive about it? Nothing. It makes you feel really bad.
Yeah.
and
surroundings also, right?
Yeah, it is so unproductive. It's very unhealthy. And the best thing to do is to make that work for you. And to your point, analyzing it. Use that frustration to really understand why, and then how, and then how you can improve. And it's that constant learning. And that's why losing is good, because you can learn, you get better. Because you need to understand where you need to improve, and then you will improve, because the next sale and the next sales cycle, you're going to apply those learnings and just be a better sales rep and be a better seller to your client.
Yeah, that's the good point. Yeah. And there is a question from my follower. His name is SBL. What he asks is, how can we develop a win-win attitude with prospect to close more sales?
A win-win attitude with the prospect. Yeah. So I'll attempt to answer the question. Hopefully this will, I think it's more of a conversation as well.
Yeah.
If you're selling something, or if you're in a sales dialogue with a customer, they need something too. So there is that side by side. The customer has a problem that they need to be solved. You as the salesperson, and hopefully your company, can provide the solution to that need. And the whole point of that sales transaction is to provide the win-win. Now, because people are sometimes distrustful of sellers, they don't necessarily see that win-win, and they'll see the salesperson as the only one winning. And what it really comes down to, and I've been thinking a lot about this, is trust. Every sales transaction comes down to a fundamental level of trust between the client and the salesperson. And that trust is what everything is built upon. So you have to establish, before you even get to that win-win, that you as a salesperson are transparent, credible, and ultimately trustworthy, that the customer will feel comfortable with working with you, feel comfortable that they're getting the right pricing, feel comfortable that you'll be accountable and reliable and not leave them high and dry. So I think that if you focus on building that trust with your client, establish that, and as a seller, that should be everything that you are, and that you build your reputation on. You should be building your reputation on that foundational layer of trust. And hopefully you can convey that to your customer. Sometimes it will take a long time. You don't know how long that's going to take. But if you focus on building that trust, demonstrating that you are somebody who's transparent and accountable to them, I think it'll go a long way. And then when I hear win-win, I also think there are ways to understand what is motivating your customer as well. From a company standpoint, like what's driving the sale? What is the objective that they need to meet personally and professionally? And if you can naturally get that information, you can also ensure that win-win. And it's hard to ask those questions sometimes right away because it's a bit unnatural. So how are you measured, right? If you ask a customer that on the first day, they may be like, who is this person? No, like you haven't earned that. You haven't earned the right to ask those very almost personal questions. You have to earn that trust first, and then you can ask those questions. So it's really understanding, I think, the customer motivation, what is driving them, what's important to them, and then aligning what you can do for them from your company standpoint, and then as well as what you bring to the table personally. But it all has to be built on that trust aspect. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, 100%. When you talk with the customer, first time when you're meeting, you should be able to judge how much long you can go deeper into their professional life or a personal life. So you should cultivate that ability to judge the person character, so that you can decide how much extent you can extend your communication. Right?
Absolutely. You 100%, I agree with you 100%. And that's about building your rapport with your customer. And so when I say rapport, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Building that rapport in making, really what you're trying to do is get that person to like you.
Yeah.
Get them to feel comfortable with you and comfortable in that trusted world that they can share with you that information. And to your point, you have to judge that in the dialogue. So you have to be aware of, how are they answering my questions? Are they sharing or are they closed? Okay, do I need to change my questioning so that they can open up more? And maybe it's with active listening, taking a word or two that they say, mirroring it back to them, and then maybe it's getting them to, again, explain and expand. The other thing that you could do in those dialogues about judging what's going on is look at their body language. And is there anything that they say that they get excited about?
That interesting thing.
Yeah. Is there anything that they say that they pull away from? And then oh, I should avoid that. Or that's a hot button that maybe I need to ask a little bit more on. So there's a number of ways that in a conversation, as you are fully present in that conversation, you can see what their body language is showing you, hear the words that they're saying, and you'll be able to really start to understand who the person is, develop that trust. And to be clear, this may take this may take more than one conversation. This may take 2 or 3 conversations. Sometimes it can take months to get that person to open up to you. And that's okay, because not everything is within a 15-minute conversation. Sometimes you have to be there for the customer and work with the customer over a longer term, build that relationship. Again, it comes down to that trust. When they trust you, then they'll be able to share, and then you'll be able to ask those questions as well.
Yeah. I think in this pandemic, it's like only through listening you should be able to judge, right? You can't see them on face to face. So
yes,
you
it's
have
true.
to agree with that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is one more question by Mr. Prabhu. What are the merits women has than the men in sales?
That's a great question, and thank you for the question. In the research that I've done around the differences between men and women in sales, women are better listeners naturally. So that is something that women have, I guess, an advantage, if you want to say, over men. There's an area, if you want to talk physically, there is an area in the brain that is larger and more voluminous in women than men, and it is the area that is attributed to listening. So there is a biological difference between men and women in that area. And some of the reading that I've done, it's due to the fact that women are socialized more earlier on in age than men or boys. So girls have more interactions and social interactions with people more than boys do, and they just develop that inherent listening trait earlier and are just more experienced, I guess. So that's what I've found is the main difference between men and women. In speaking with other people, and customers in particular, I've heard that women are more relationship based and men are more transactional when it comes to sales. Yeah. And if you try to break that down, women aren't trying to go for the sale on day one. They are more interested in building a relationship and using that relationship and building that trust over time. And then we'll wait a bit longer to get a sale, versus a man who maybe just be like, okay, I've got this goal. I need to get this deal, sign it right now. And that's exaggerated, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I can relate to this.
Tell me.
Yeah, I have another product manager. He's a sales guy. Okay. And he always wants the business, and for him, the business is important more than the relationship. But for me, the relationship is first, then the business. Yeah. So I fight for my company. I fight for the customer. I want customer to be saved. I want customer to be supported. For me, even if I lose the business, it is okay. For me, the ethics between the customer or my distributor is very important. The trust.
Yes. And you mentioned that you'll fight for your customer. And I've also found that women tend to fight for their customer more than men. Whether that's internally, it's more internally, I guess that would make the most sense, fighting for your customer, getting the right pricing, getting the right support, getting the right people involved. And then as well, if something goes wrong, women are more likely to be with the customer to ensure that things get right, versus maybe men. And I don't have a good example of this. This is just what I've been told. Men more, if there's a problem after the sale, they're gone. They
Okay.
don't necessarily stick around and are really working for the customer. But I'm not sure, that's more hearsay. But I think women more, to your point, fight and are more about that relationship.
I think it's their inherent nature because they take care of the baby,
Yeah.
family, in-laws. So they always want to concern about others, care for others. That is why even for a customer, they give little special space to take care of them, their problems. They want to give solutions, right?
Yeah. I think women are naturally better suited to sales because of that.
Yeah.
When you think about what a sales transaction is, it's a, it is that win-win, but it is about because as a seller, you represent the company. You are the face of the company to the customer, and you want that customer to buy from you, buy more, and buy again. And in order to do that, you have to cultivate that relationship over time. And
Yeah.
I do think women naturally in that longer term relationship are better.
Yeah.
But that
And
doesn't
one
mean that men can't learn, and it doesn't mean that men can't also enhance their skills. And I do think there are things that women can learn from men also. So
Yes.
I don't think one is necessarily like the gold standard. I think we can learn from each other.
Even the guys are good in logical thinking, taking decisions faster. That is good in men, I feel.
Yeah, I think we can, like, that's the thing. It's not, we're doing
It's
it. Yeah,
it's
we can learn and build and become better together.
Yeah, yes.
Mhm.
And one more question raised by Shweta. In male-dominated industry as a woman, how to overcome the shyness and fear while having a face-to-face discussion with a male client or a female client?
So for me, I am, I call myself, I'm an ambivert. So I'm both introverted and extroverted. And when I'm in my sales mode, it's like a light switch. I am an extrovert. But oftentimes I am more introverted. And there were points in my career where I shy away and feel I don't have the confidence that I need to speak up or let my voice be heard. And I think in technology, especially because I didn't come from a technology background, there were points early in my career that I wasn't comfortable or confident or secure in myself, and it made me shy. So I think the shyness was a symptom of those things.
Mm,
And so yes, and I think it's natural. And I think it's okay to feel shy and to recognize that you're not necessarily confident in the way that you want to be to hear or to find your voice, I guess you could say. So one, feel comfortable that you're not alone in that.
mm,
Shweta, there are many people that absolutely feel that way. So how to feel more comfortable and to feel more confident, that's really what we should be focusing on. And I think there's a number of ways that you can do that. So educating yourself in whatever product you're working on and representing will give you knowledge, and that knowledge will give you confidence. So I will say that education is key. If you're dealing with a male client who is, let's say, of a senior title than you,
mm,
that intimidation factor is also very real, and that's okay. And you may not feel like you should be speaking to this person or that they would even take you seriously or listening to you. And again, that's okay. So the way that I would suggest that you help overcome that, it's not going to be overnight. I will say it's not,
yeah.
this comes with time and experience and multiple conversations and multiple meetings, and putting that pressure on yourself to be an expert tomorrow, it's a waste of your time. So I would say have conversations with as many people as you possibly can, so you can feel comfortable in having a dialogue with somebody. And a really great way that I've found that I've been able to work with C-level executives is, again, back to that listening. Listening is very powerful, because especially people at a C-level executives, C-level, senior VP, VP, there's a lot of ego in the room. And it's a personality type whereby you can, I guess, use that to your advantage to make you feel comfortable by just getting them talking. That listening, asking open-ended questions, being truly interested in what they have to say. And that listening angle is going to be important for you, because oftentimes people just want to hear themselves speak. So you can listen. I would say that, but it's going to take you time and experience and going through a lot of different meetings, and some meetings may be bad meetings. Some meetings may not go well. They're going to be really uncomfortable, and you're going to leave the meeting like sweating, and you say, "Oh, that was a bad meeting." But again, it's about how can you learn from each meeting and understand, hey, what could I have done differently that would have made me more confident in that meeting. And confidence is something that needs to be learned, and again, it will take time. I think there's a number of different education courses around confidence that I've seen. I'm not the expert in confidence. My confidence comes from years of doing this. Okay. My confidence comes from a lot of battle scars and being through very, very tough, and I'm sure Thilaga, same with you, tough situations, and you're like, okay, next time I'm going to do better. Next time I'm going to do this. So it's just say that building that confidence is a process, and it's okay, and it will take time. And Thilaga, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that confidence piece.
One thing is, the more you practice, the more you will be better. Okay. And also talking with somebody who is very close to you, talking with them so that you can get practiced. Like your friends, pick up some topics and talk with them, so that you will be familiar with the, building up a speaking or communication or confident. Okay. So these are all very important, I think. So, and also practice. These are all things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that practice and having those conversations and being comfortable and having a dialogue with somebody is key. At this company that I'm working at right now, role playing is a really big fundamental aspect of how we train our sellers. And if you're working for a company and you find somebody that you can trust, you can ask them to role play with you. I role play with my husband all the time. Wow. And he will say, okay, be a nice customer. And so like, here's the situation, and you play the nice customer, like the best case scenario. And then I say, okay, no, be the tough one. And then when he's that really challenging customer that throws questions and you're just like, what are you talking about? It helps me think on my feet and be able to change what I want to say to get to the outcome that I'm looking for. So I love this idea of the role play and then finding somebody that you can communicate with.
What I used to do, initial days, I used to stay in a ladies' hostel, the girls' hostel. So with my, roommates, I used to talk. I'd pick up some topic. Okay, which is interesting for you? Is it a love marriage or arranged marriage? Some interesting topic I pick up, and that is how I build up my communication and confidence, public speaking, and all. Okay. And one more suggestion I want to give is record when you're talking with your client
Mm,
and listen to it, where you can improve, where you went wrong. I think that is also will help.
absolutely. Any way that you can get feedback or listen
Mm,
to yourself or have someone else watch that video and say and have that different point of view to give you suggestions. And
yeah.
you know what? It's being open to
Learn.
learn and to get feedback, and getting that feedback doesn't mean that you're bad or you shouldn't be doing this. No, this means that you are willing to learn and improve, and take that feedback not as a personal negative against who you are. It's more of, okay, just like if you're learning a sport and I play tennis. So if my wrist needs to be moved down versus out,
Mm,
that's not a personal thing against me. I just need to do that. And
yeah.
so if you think about being open, and if someone says that to me, if a coach says, you need to move your wrist here, I'm going to say, thank you for telling me that, because
Yeah.
now I'm going to be better. So
Mm,
be open to that feedback, be open to learning, and just know that there's going to be bad meetings. Not everything is going to go. It's part of that win lose. It's part of that growth, and having
mm,
that growth mindset of, I'm going to be really good at this. I know it's not going to be today,
mm,
but I'm committed. And back to the start of this call, Thilaga, about that commitment to improving. Once you have that commitment and say, I'm going to do great at this, you'll be open to that feedback and you'll be able to improve.
and in this pandemic situation, how you see, will there be more opportunity for women coming into sales, because now it's more of remote selling, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think finally these companies understand that you can be really productive being remote and not
Yeah.
being in front of your customer all the time. And it really cuts down on that travel. And I know that not everybody, especially younger women, or it doesn't matter what age, but women with children or who are thinking about having a family, that constant travel isn't great. And it's discouraging as being a something that they want to do, especially if they are thinking about having children or have children already. So it has lowered that barrier of entry into sales for women that I love.
Yeah.
And it 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 really is the most flexible job, because you
Yes.
set your own schedule, your calendar is your own.
Mm,
You are you are you don't have, it's not 9 to 5 or 8 to, like, whatever. There's no set hours, so you can do what you need to do in between your
yeah.
meetings, because it's all outcome driven, and that allows for the ultimate flexibility. And as such, one, now that travel is no longer a requirement for a lot of these roles, I really think that more women will look at sales as an attractive career for the long term, that allows them to earn a really good living and
Yeah.
provide better for their family, especially if they have young kids at home or if they want to start a family. It's really the best job.
Yeah. And I feel even the organization should look into it. They should give more opportunity now for women to come into sales.
I agree. Sales has a negative view, and it's just a branding and a marketing issue. If companies just spend a bit more time marketing the sales team for more women, women will feel more comfortable, and as to the benefits that they're going to get that are better than working at a bank in, I don't know, IT
Yeah.
development. I don't know, because then you're stuck to your computer. You're not
Uh,
stuck to anything in sales.
because why I said is why organization should look into it, because when I talk to my distributor, my customer, I ask them why you are not picking up women into sales.
Mm,
They say they're not committed. They will not be committed, because we know that if women are joining in our organization, maximum they will stay for 2, 3 years. Either they get married and they transfer to other place, wherever the husband stays, or once they have a children, they drop out. So we don't have confidence on women. I think now, because it is a remote sales, I think organization can give more opportunity for them.
It's such a flawed point of view to say that women will drop out and women will follow men and they're not committed. Women are the most committed to their career that
Yeah.
I've seen. And companies need to work with the fact that women will want to have a family, and that shouldn't be seen as a negative. If
Yeah.
anything, it's going to drive, if anything, the women that want their career and want their family are the best women for your company because they are the most committed. And it's a short-sighted and a very non-diverse point of view for companies to have that attitude. And women in sales, they're better closers. The data shows that they close more deals than men do. So you want women on your sales team. And even if you're going to lose a woman to a maternity leave, that's okay. If you do the right things, you'll be able to hire another woman like that. You'll have a good pipeline going of more women that are interested in sales. So it's not, don't blame women, blame your process, because your process is flawed.
Any advice for women in sales who doesn't want to come, who thinks that sales is not a good career for them? What is your advice for women to come into sales?
There is no career that allows you the flexibility, autonomy, and still make the same money as a doctor, lawyer, engineer. You can make the same amount of money as people who have spent 10 years educating themselves and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars educating themselves. And you can do it with with less education and making sometimes more money consistently over time, and possibly even putting in less hours. And like I said, your schedule is your own. So in my opinion, there's no better career. Not only that, the sales career gives, at least that's given me a lot of personal satisfaction. So yes, there's money, and I have earned a lot of money over my career, and I'll still earn a lot of money, and that's great. And I am not ashamed to say that that's important to me, and I'm not ashamed to say that I like it and enjoy it. You know, it affords me a lifestyle that I really enjoy. But it's also personal satisfaction for what I do. I love winning a deal. I love the thrill of closing an opportunity because it's my work. And I know that I've been the driving force to progress that sale from start to finish. And that's personal satisfaction to me. And it is positive reinforcement and gives me a sense of pride that I haven't found in a lot of the other people that I've talked to in their careers. Like we have, because when you're in more of an operations role, it's more of, you kind of do the same thing every day. My day is different every day. And every sale is different, and it has its own challenges, and it has its own highs and lows, and it keeps me engaged and it keeps me interested. So if you like that, and if you're looking for a different type of meaning from your work that again is very personal to you, along with all the other good things that you get, the flexibility, autonomy, money, there's no better job.
Yeah, very good. And any specific closing technique you want to tell us? Because you just said you're closing many deals, right?
I think I would just encourage women to learn more, have conversations with, if they're thinking about getting into sales, have conversations with women sellers and get their point of view and feel that energy, right? I think that we need to promote women and about these types of roles and this type of career. And so seek out other women to have the conversations and talk about what you're looking for and what the reality of sales is. And again, I think that it's a process. Sales is advanced communication. And I'm always learning. And if you are interested in that, again, there's no better career.
No, specifically in gender, male or female, closing technique, any technique specifically used to close the sale?
Oh, to close the sale. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. So here's what I will say. As much as I am for the relationship sale, sometimes you have to ask for it. If you don't ask, you won't get. So when the time is right in the sales process, ask for the sale. And don't be afraid to ask. There's a number of different ways you can ask for a sale. But unless you ask, you may not get it on the time frame that you want it. So feel confident in saying, so if I'm going to send you the contract tomorrow, when will you sign? That's an example. Even last week I said, so if I can meet this pricing, are we done? Are we good?
Wow.
And sometimes you have to ask and you have to be bold. And again, that's going to come with confidence, but don't be afraid of asking for the sale.
That's a good, idea. Ask for it.
Ask for it. And I was talking to, and this isn't even just in sales. This is if you want something, ask for it. So I've always said a closed mouth never gets fed. And even if you want a promotion, and even if you want more money, or you have to ask for it. Nobody is going to, very rare is somebody going to give it to you. You have to make your intention known, and you have to state your expectation and ask for it, demand it. There's ways to do it in a nice way, but unless you ask for it, no one's going to give it to you.
I know many women, they don't ask. They think that if I'm deserved, I will get it. I will not going to ask.
These companies have budgets, and these companies aren't for the good of the person. Sometimes managers aren't aware. There's a million reasons why a company's not going to give you that because you feel like you deserve it. Your feeling is only one part of it. You have to state it. And I was just having this conversation, like I said, yesterday, and I was even talking to my husband. He said, men ask for it. All these men that go up the ladder, they say, I want this. And then because they state it, the company's like, oh, well, okay. If I don't give it to this person, they're, hopefully they're good. They may leave, and I don't want them to leave. So now that's their priority. Their priority is to make that person happy and to give them what they want because they don't want them to leave. Women need to understand that because they feel like they deserve it doesn't mean even that the manager feels like they deserve it. Or the executives, they may not agree, but you have to let it be known. I will say, hopefully you have your list of things that you've done that support why you feel like you deserve it. There's nothing wrong with having that list and having that conversation with your manager or whoever your reporting structure is, and saying to them, based on this, I want this. State your expectation, and I guarantee you they will work to get it for you. But unless you do that, you're going to be waiting a really long time, a really long time for them
Yeah.
to recognize you.
See, even women, she's not satisfied with her potential. She should feel that she has the potential and
Yeah.
she has all the things to ask for it, right? First, she should get convinced to ask. She feel little low. Much of the women, whomever I meet, they feel low. They do not have confidence on themselves, right?
And my advice to those women would be write it down. Write down what you've done. Write it down so you can see it and you can say, oh yeah, that was impactful. Oh yeah, I did that. I should get recognized for that. When you start to write it down and document, you will find that it should build your own confidence in yourself and your abilities.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Okay, we are going to come on your passion. Okay, so I want to ask some questions related to your passion. So your
Sure.
passions are you will help others to achieve their goals, and you help women in business to improve their business, and the third, good food.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Good
important.
food.
So the first one is teach us about is it necessary to set the goals, how we set the goals, the short term and long term, how we evaluate the goals, what is the benefit of setting the goals, all this.
So I'm a big fan of putting your goals, writing your goals down, putting it out into the universe, if you know what I mean. State it. You don't have to tell everybody, but it's putting it out there into the reality, writing it down, creating a vision board, however you want to do that. And what I find is that when you do that, things start to fall into place to get you to reach that goal. Now, I will say, I want to state that sometimes you don't know what your goal is. Sometimes you may not know what you want to do in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think for many years for me, I didn't know. And I felt like I was not as accomplished or not as sophisticated as other people, because they always said, I want to be a vice president in 5 years. And I said, well, I don't have that goal. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. And I think that not knowing is okay. So if you don't know, that's fine. You should be focused then on doing the best job that you can do right now. And then I think as you go through life and you have different life experiences in your career and in your personal life, a goal will, or something that you want to do will present itself. So I just want to state, if you don't know, that's okay. Just do the best that you can do every day. Now, if you do know what you want to do, write it down, document it. That is the next best thing to do. And then work backwards. There's a number of techniques that you can read about that will help you reach that goal, whether that's a 3-year goal, a 5-year goal, whatever the length of time it is. Put a timeline on it as a target, and then work backwards. One of the things that I've read about is the one thing approach, which is, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do? So what is my goal today? What is my goal in 3 months? What is my goal in 1 year? One thing. And what is that one thing that I need to do to reach that goal? And then once you focus on that one thing, you will go a long way in reaching that larger, longer term goal. So do some reading about the different techniques about goal setting and how to reach that goal. But it really starts with what you want and documenting that. And then you will, if you truly want that, and if you're committed to that goal, you will automatically start to march toward that goal. And then bringing that down into micro goals, whether one thing each day, one thing each week, one thing each month, whatever that is. Break it down into mini goals to ensure that you make it there.
And do you do daily? Do you write daily the goals, and do you evaluate daily, something like that?
For me, I think I visit my goals because right now I do have a I will say 3-year, 1 year, 3-year, and 5-year goals for me personally, and I revisit them, I would say every 3 months to see how I'm tracking. But right now I am dead set focused on making those nearer term goals happen. And so it's every day that I'm actually doing something to impact achieving that goal. But it is important to reflect on it at some point and keep that bigger picture in mind, that longer term goal in mind, and say, okay, yeah, do I still want that? Because you could change too, right? Like a longer term goal, a 5-year goal, life happens, and it's okay to change or evolve that goal into something else. So you have to revisit it and adapt depending on what's going on in your world. And that's totally fine. And it's welcomed, because sometimes that goal gets refined and even more targeted. And maybe that goal is even moved from a 5-year goal. Maybe that's now a 3-year goal, or maybe you've achieved it, or like you're going to achieve. And so now you need to recreate. So being very clear on what you want, when you want it, is key. And then reevaluating it every couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, I think is good.
I have a personal question: is in sales, whether is it right to write down which order you're going to close, which client you're going to close, how much business you're going to achieve? Is it necessary to do that?
So I don't think it's necessary. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own style. Whatever works for you is whatever is important. I always know what my goal is, and I know what I need to close in order to get there. Like I said, my husband is a hypnotist, and what we've done together is we have written a program whereby it's progressive relaxation and saying your goals to yourself. You can even do it nightly at night, where you write down everything that needs to happen in order for you to make your goal. So for example, let's say I have to close $1 million of sales by December 31st. Okay, so what needs to happen between now and December 31st that will allow me to achieve, because it's never, exceed my goal? Okay, I need to close 5 deals. I need to close 5 opportunities at $250,000 each. Okay, now what's the level deeper? Who are these? Where do I get those opportunities? Well, I need to prospect this many people in order to get a pipeline that will allow me to close those 5 deals at $250K. Okay, so now what needs to happen? Where do I get those? Well, I need to prospect every day for an hour. Okay, so I know each day my daily goal is to prospect for 1 hour, and then I'll be able to reach those goals. Or you can be more specific and say, I need to close these 5 deals. In this one particular deal, the client is this person's name, and I know I need to get my pricing in by this date. I need to have this many presentations. I need to ensure that I handle their objections in these things. I need to align my internal team over here. And you could go as specific as that. It's really up to you and your own personal style. I know that's always going on in my mind.
Wow.
It's always going on. I'm always thinking about, okay, what else do I need to do? What am I missing here? How many times do I need to follow up? What objections are they going to bring to me? So I think as you're in and as you get more experienced, it becomes less about writing it down and more about it becomes natural and innate. But absolutely, if you're the type of person that likes to write things down and likes to see it and to track against that, it's a really good habit to get into.
Okay. So next is women in business. What are the key things they have to look into while starting a business?
I've always had my own businesses on the side.
Wow. Okay.
One thing that you need is you need that passion and you need that commitment to it, to creating a business. And if you have an idea and if you are committed to seeing that idea through for 2-3 years, then I always say do it. I'm a big fan of talking women into going into business versus talking women out of going into business. And I find that there's a lot of people that talk themselves or other people out of doing something. And I think if you really want to do it, go for it. And people are afraid to fail. It's never failing. It's not failing if you don't meet whatever expectation that other people have or that you have for yourself. It's all a learning journey. And the more you learn, the more you're going to be able to give to others and to also evolve your second or next business idea or business venture. I've had like 5 failed businesses, meaning that they didn't sustain or I didn't make millions of dollars from it. But I will tell you, everything that I did, I learned and I'm better for it now. So I'm a big fan of, if you have an idea, if you have something you really want to do, if you truly believe that it's the right thing for you, do it. Take that first step. And I'm not suggesting that you have to quit your job or risk all your money or move to another country. You don't have to do anything drastic. You just need to take one small step. And that one small step will lead to the next small step. And then from there, you'll be able to get a momentum going and pursue and to continue to progress your business forward. So any woman, if you want to be talked into doing your business, let me know, because I will tell you, do it. It's a great idea. I will always be encouraging.
I'll come to you when the thought comes. Okay, the last one is good food.
Oh yes, I love good, delicious food. So I became a vegetarian about almost 2 years ago now. And oh, great. I really feel a lot better just physically being a vegetarian. And it's forced me to become a lot more creative with what I eat and the flavors that I have. And you live in India, which have the most delicious spices ever. Yeah. And I love Indian food. And being from Toronto, we have so many options for Indian food. So I eat the food all the time. And so I love flavor. I love spice. And I know the difference between, bland, fast food kind of approach to eating. I don't like that. I like very fresh, very flavorful, very harmonious vegetarian food. And it's often the simplest food for me. But I like to go and enjoy really good restaurants, especially in Toronto. I like to. I will cook, especially with the pandemic.
Okay.
I've had to cook more than ever in
Have
my
you
life.
learned? Have you learned cooking Indian food?
Yes, I made a dal fry last week,
Okay, great.
and and I make a chana masala. That's my
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
And I'll make my own naan. I'll make my own naan as
Naan.
well. Yes,
Wow.
I come from a family of bakers, so
Mm.
I know how to make breads um, pretty easily. For me, it comes easy.
I find foreigners, my foreign colleagues comes to India, they feel uncomfortable, having this naan, right?
Yeah, because they have to use their hands.
Yeah. So
Because
are you?
we're always with a fork and a knife, and don't use your hands. In a number of other countries, it's using your hand is the way of eating. Like I eat a lot of also Ethiopian food. Ethiopian food is all with your hands, or Middle Eastern food often. Also eating with your hands. So it's different. Some people are more comfortable than others. But I'm about the flavor. If it's good, fork, chopsticks, hands, I'm good.
Oh, great. Okay. uh, how you maintain diet? Food is also important for diet, right?
So I try to eat as healthy as possible, like cooking from home. I can control the amount of oil that's in the food, which is really important for me anyway. And I find with eating healthy, find things that are healthy that you like, and just eat that. You don't have
Mm,
to complicate. Oh, I have to eat. Or eating healthy is it doesn't taste good. No.
mm,
Find the food that is healthy that you like, and then you're
so-
good. And stick with that. That's the
mm,
way that's worked for me. And then eating healthy becomes easy
mm.
and delicious.
Okay. And I want to know your secrets of success. Everyone has their own secrets, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's any secret. I think me and who I am, I like to move forward. I like to do things. I like to be a part of a creative process. I like to work with people. I like to be a part of something with an outcome that I can see. And I let that passion of those things guide me to my
Mm,
success. So I think it shines through with what I do because I get excited about things. And I think when people see and feel my energy, they get excited and it's contagious.
mm,
And then we work together. And I really think that's it. And I'm truly interested in people and learning. And I think that also guides me and allows me to really enjoy what I do and enjoy being on this earth and enjoy other people. So if
it's like you have
yeah,
to be passionate and you should have that self drive, self motive to
yeah.
drive yourself to push you forward, right?
And it's knowing yourself, and that takes time too, right? It's knowing what makes you happy and what is motivating to you and paying attention to how you feel and knowing the difference when you're feeling down and when you're feeling excited and what is causing that, and then staying away from the things that make you feel down and focusing all on the things that drive you forward. And it's a process. I've learned a lot in my 39 years on this earth, and I will continue to learn more about myself and about what makes me happy and motivated. And I encourage other people to learn themselves.
Love themselves, also important, I feel.
Yes, I agree.
Once you love yourself, you will not be bothered about others' criticism,
Uh,
comments, right?
it's so true. Other people really have no bearing or shouldn't have any bearing on who you are and what you do. And once you do love yourself and understand that we are here living our own lives and are trying to be the best potential person and reach our potential each individually, you're actually a better contributor to this world than being oppressed by other people's points of view or their or fear of their point of view. It is oppressive.
Yeah.
And again, when you move past that and love yourself, you'll be better.
Mm.
I,
The
I
last one
yeah, I
is
do have I do have a call in 2 minutes.
okay. So suggest some books. That's my last one. Good
Oh,
books if others wants to read.
good books. Oh, I have a bunch. I was reading a few. Now I have to go into my mind here. Um, I think sales books are okay.
Yeah.
There's Influence. There's a few others I've read recently. The Happiness Equation, which I liked.
Mm.
I'm reading The Culture Code, or I've read The Culture Code. I've also read, I forget the name of the book right now, but it's about cultural differences and how to do business internationally, because I'm interested in international business. That's a good one. I'm also reading a book about women and data. I'll have to, Thilaga, let me send you the list.
I will put it in the comment box.
And
Yeah.
put it in the, yeah, because there's a few books that I think would be helpful depending on people's interest.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. It's really learning. Lot of learnings about selling, women in sales. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, and I want to take this opportunity to announce my webinar, which is coming on this Sunday. So I invite you as well as
I
all the
saw that.
audience.
Excellent.
It's my first webinar. I just want to teach whatever I know. It's about how to go from an ordinary to extraordinary sales professional. I'm going to tell 8 proven steps which all the global sales leaders are following. I did a lot of research to do that. So it is a step-by-step
Wow.
process. If they follow 8 steps, they will be a millionaire one day. That kind of
Wow. I can't wait to attend.
yeah. So and also I don't know if you know Catherine. She's a founder of Social Selling Academy. So she will also be part of it. She will also going to teach for 30 minutes. She's going to teach about social selling. So it's going to be excited to all the audience to learn directly from international sales coach. So I invite everyone to come on the webinar. Yeah. Thank you,
Great.
Sarah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you again for having me. A great conversation.
Yeah. Really, I enjoyed it.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye.